Hi everyone, I'm Gautam aka the Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation coach, and in this video, we're going to be talking a little bit about the importance of forgiving yourself. Now, before I do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching. So, I have hourly, monthly, email, and DM coaching along with premium coaching right now. The links for that will be in the description, where you guys will be led to an FAQ page where you guys will have all the answers you need. And thereafter, you guys can reach out to me via Instagram or email for pricing information and to figure out what plans may be suitable for you. So premium coaching is something that I introduced recently, which is basically unlimited DMs and unlimited calls. It comes in a 2 week, 1 month, 2 month, and a 3 month format. So you guys can, like contact me and touch base with me at any given time, with prior notice, maybe like an hour before you guys want to call me. You guys can notify me, and then like based on the availability, I'll accommodate you in the soonest possible time slot, and we can have a chat. Even if it's like maybe 10 minutes, for example, let's say you're working and you would like to talk to me during lunchtime, for example. That is something that we can make it as well. So other than like, besides like talking to me via DMs like constantly, you always have access to me via calls as well. So that's really what premium coaching is all about. It's about having more access to me, and you guys can talk to me. You guys can choose a video call format as well for this. So it's really worth your investment, so be sure to check that out. I also have a Facebook group where I upload resources, as well as you guys can ask me questions anonymously if you wish to do so. Make sure that you answer the 2 questions and agree to the group rules, otherwise my moderators will decline you with feedback. I also have a mailing list where I post articles from time to time, as well as my latest offers for coaching. And last but not least, I also have a Manifest USP course, which is designed for beginners and veterans alike, which brings you from the beginning of your manifestation journey to the end of your manifestation journey. And it's like a field manual where even when you're going through your SP journey, you guys can always come back and refer to this and get the tips and tricks, and for you to navigate through your manifestation journey with ease. It's like, if you guys can't commit for a coaching session, if you're really busy, if you're working in like a corporate sector, for example, if you're having long work hours, Manifest Your SP course is a self-study course, so therefore you guys can do it at your own pace, own time. There's no rush, and payment plans will be available soon as well. So what's neat is that you will also get the updates for free. So if you buy it now, it's going to be cheaper, because as those updates come, I will pump up the prices accordingly. So guys, without further ado, let's get to it. So what kind of prompted this video was, I've been having conversations with a lot of people about forgiveness recently, and I've really felt inspired to really talk about forgiving yourself and why that is so important. Because growing up till very recently, I would say the last few years, I used to be a very harsh critic of myself, and I guess that was just because of my upbringing, and a lot of my friends were that way as well. And like everyone was like really judging themselves too harshly, I would say, and not seeing what they brought to the table in many different ways. And I guess it was that Asian culture had a lot to do with it. Not that I'm blaming it per se, but like I'm just like, when I look back at my childhood, like that culture was something that played a huge role for me in me becoming this way. And I would remember, like there was this joke and memes on Facebook, which is like A grade is for average in Asia and B is for bad, right? And that is the kind of like environment I kind of grew up in. And what happens is that even your greatest of achievements is made like it's not a big deal, anyone can do it, right? And I often talk about this with my clients as well, is a lot of them often felt like their achievements were made to feel very trivial, or that it was because of someone else that they achieved that, right? Like maybe because of their parents that they achieved that, or it's because of like the institution that they went to that they achieved that. It's never them, right? It's always some other factor that was around them that made them achieve that, right? A lot of my clients were made to feel that way. So what it does is that it makes people like judge themselves too harshly, right? They're always judging themselves too harshly if they make a mistake, or if they are made to feel like that was a mistake. Even like for example, like being vulnerable to someone, that's often seems like a mistake in the society, right? So the result of this is that people are very closed up, people are judging themselves too harshly, and their environment is constantly reflecting that, so their self-esteem is like really down. And this plays into our self-concept, be it with SPE or otherwise as well. And it really puts us in a very down state, right? And no matter how talented we may be in many different areas, we are made like, you know what, anyone can do that, anyone can do that. And just coming at it from that perspective even, and like, and in also like when we make a mistake, like that's like super magnified, and it's made like, the greatest sins that we could have ever done. So I have certainly seen that in my clients, I've certainly seen it in my life as well. And I had to come to a point where I had to be my biggest cheerleader, right? And that was the solution that I came up with, was to see all my achievements and be there for myself. And also, when I do make a genuine mistake, which we all do, I mean, that's part and parcel of being human, is to make mistakes and recognizing them for what it is, and also more importantly, forgiving yourself, making peace with it, right? And that is something that I had to learn. So the first way I really kind of made peace with myself, and the way I forgave myself in many ways, was to reassure myself that, you know I did the best thing I could with the knowledge that I had at that point of time, right? In retrospect, when we are looking back at things, we will say like, okay, why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that, why didn't I take that route instead, that was so obvious, like how could I be so stupid, and things like that, right? But at that point, you never, like, here's the thing, like one thing about, as time goes by, is that we tend to forget the state of mind that we were in back then, right? If we were in panic mode, for example, if we were in a state of anger, for example, we don't know what kind of state we were in. Like we couldn't exactly remember the emotional turmoil that we were going through, and those things that we feel emotionally hinders our ability to think properly and to make a proper decision, right? I have been paralyzed to, like, when it comes to decision making, in a lot of different ways, because I felt like, I couldn't make a decision, because I felt like a complete failure. I used to judge myself so harshly that I let people take my decisions for me at one point, right? And when I look back at those points, I used to judge myself so harshly. I was like, why didn't I stand up for myself, why didn't I do that? But I had to look at it from a different perspective. I was like, okay, what was my state back then? Why did I let that happen? There surely must have been a reason. It's not like, my, like myself, like my thinking ability was like, that low, right? So like there was a reason, and I had to recognize those types of reasons, and I had to, make peace with it. I was like, you know what, it's okay. It's part and parcel of learning, right? It's part and parcel of learning. Everyone goes through failures to learn something, and that is life. Like, that's how we grow. And I had to really like make peace with myself. Otherwise, it's going to be one of those things where I'm constantly going to be beating myself up, and it's not going to be helpful for anyone, right? Because I don't want to perpetuate that old story in my mind continuously, where I'm judging myself, and that gets pushed out into my reality in many different ways, where people are emphasizing that back to me, and I'm like starting to believe that, and I don't want any of that anymore. So I said, you know what, it's okay, it happens, right? Like, forgive yourself, it's all right, like things happen, it's okay, it's part and parcel of being human, it's all right, you're good now, right? You came through that moment, here you are right now, it's all done, it's over, you're good, right? So I had to like really speak to myself like I would speak to a child, right? Like if I had kids, or if I would speak to there's a kid, like walking on the street, for example, and if I see someone like judging themselves too hard, like how would I speak to them, how would I speak to my clients? I'd like speak to myself in that way, right? Like, okay, it's all right, it's all good, and stuff happens, but you know what, we got past it, here we are, that's it. And that's one way I really like saw it coming through. And also, if it wasn't for those lessons, like one thing I realized was, if it wasn't for those things, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So yes, mistakes were made, but you came out of it, and that is what led you here. So recognize that as well. So what this does is that it allows you to forgive yourself with ease, right? Because when we are like unable to forgive ourselves, it's because we are noticing too much about what didn't work, and we are seeing or really magnifying the ramifications of our mistake back then, which makes us feel even worse. And what it does is that it hinders us from not seeing all the progress we have made from then onwards. Like, ask yourself, okay, from ever since that event or whatever you said to a person or anything of that sort, how much have you grown? Have you repeated that? Right? And 9 times out of 10 it's a no, right? And when you come at it from that perspective, you have seen how much you've grown. It's going to be easier for you to forgive yourself for those things, right? It's going to be easier for you to, come at this from a place of love for yourself, right? Come at it from a place of love and really tell yourself, you know what, it's all right. It's all right that it happened and things like that. So this is the way I would approach it. Like, I would just come at it from a place of love. I would speak to myself like a child. I would see how far I've come. I would also ask myself, if it wasn't for those things, would I be where I am right now? Because those lessons, like whatever you learn, like are always going to serve you in one way or another, right? And I used to judge myself so hard, and I had to like forgive myself, because otherwise that resentment and everything, it's going to manifest itself in other ways, right? In people are going to reflect that. My parents are probably going to tell me something of that sort, and it's further going to re-emphasize that. Whereas if I forgive and make peace with myself, right, my outer world shall reflect that peace as well. And that is what I had to do, was to sort myself on the inside, so that whatever that I'm witnessing on the outside is as favorable as it can ever be, right? Because if you can't forgive yourself, how can you expect others to do the same for you, right? That's one golden rule that I always have is, like whatever you'd like to, receive from others, you give that to yourself first. Be it love, forgiveness, or being treated like a royalty, or things like any of that sort, right? Like if you like you want to be treated like a king or a queen, if you wanted to be treated with like lots and lots of love and respect, and you want to be cherished, do those things for yourself. Like when it comes to SP, for example, right? Treat yourself like how you would treat your SP, right? You would really pamper them, you would really take care of them, you would really speak good things to them. Are you doing the same thing to yourself? And speaking of speaking things, right? Uh, Inner conversations. Have good inner conversations with yourself. Speak favorably, speak positively, breathe life into your words, right? Breathe, like life into whatever that, your dreams, and whatever that you're pursuing, right? Don't be too hard on yourself, right? Forgive yourself for past mistakes. And let's say you are pursuing a dream and you failed once, right? Don't shoot yourself down, right? Okay, learn from that, see what you can do better, and push yourself even more the next time, right? Push yourself even more the next time, right? Tell yourself, hey, it's okay, stuff happens, but you keep going because I believe in your vision, right? Be there for yourself, be your biggest cheerleader, like I said, right? So forgiveness that way is really, really important, because it really enables us to be free, right, to do all the things that we actually want to, right? As to how to overcome things like guilt or shame, right? See it from the perspective that, what, things happen, but you're making up for it right now by being the best possible version, right? If you are feeling guilty, right, revise that scene, have an inner conversation with yourself or with anyone that you are feeling guilty towards. Hear them forgive you, and in the process forgive yourself as well. And also, like, forgive yourself for creating those events, those version of events, right? Like, let's say you went through something with your SP and SP said a few things. Forgive yourself for creating those types of things, because you didn't know better, but now as a conscious creator you know better right now, so you're going to be better. So give yourself that reassurance and trust that, right? So by doing all these kinds of things, like, you are progressing to a greater height of awareness, therefore allowing yourself to create better things, more favorable things. And not just create better things and more favorable things, but also create them at a quicker pace, because sometimes it's these kinds of old stories that kind of keeps you in that state of mind, right? So by forgiving yourself, you are releasing that old story, you are embracing the new story, therefore allowing you to create things with ease. So these are the reasons why I feel like forgiveness is really important. And also, when you forgive yourself, your environment changes. Your environment really, really changes. When you are easy on yourself, when you are pampering yourself, when you allow yourself to, give yourself that safe space to kind of learn and grow in a very constructive way, your environment is going to reflect that, right? Your environment is going to, people are also going to, like embody like favorable states of mind, and they're also going to interact with you in a very favorable way. This I have noticed as well. There was this Neville story. I'm not sure of the exact story, so if you guys do know about it, like definitely comment down below. Because this was a while back, I heard it. But basically, I think it was some sort of a psychiatric ward of a prison. This was, I think, in the 50s, right? I'm not sure if it was Sing Sing, but I could be wrong there. But basically, the ward had like the worst of criminals, I believe, right? And what happened was they tried different doctors, the authorities, but nothing was really working, right? Like they were keep changing psychiatrists or things like that, basically, like folks who actually kind of evaluate these guys and try to help them to kind of rehabilitate them and so on. So there came this one guy, and again, I'm not really sure of the exact name of all these things, so please don't quote me. But if you guys do know the video, and if I do find that video, I tried to find it but I couldn't before this video, but if I do find it, I'll definitely link it down in the description below. But the idea was like one guy came, and this doctor, he didn't see the patients face to face. He had a few conditions, right? Like, I'm only going to read their files, I'm not going to see them face to face. And what he did was he just read their files and he forgave himself, which was really weird, right? Like, because if you are like trying to cure people and all you're doing is forgiving yourself, that seems like, wait, what? Like, what are you doing? And mind you, these were like criminals. These guys were like, really did some bad things apparently. So how can you forgive yourself and expect them to be cured, right? But that's what he did. Like, he like forgave himself for all the things that he has done, and really started to like embody that state of like mind where like he was really loving to himself, and there was peace within him. And guess what? Like, over the weeks, what happened was people started to change, and at the end of the day, like, eventually what happened was they closed down the entire prison because there was no more patients left, which I thought was like, wow, like that right there is the power of forgiveness. When you forgive yourself for doing things or saying things to your SP, because I know a lot of people tend to beat themselves up for these kinds of things, right? But when you forgive yourself and when you come from a place of love, everything around you shifts accordingly to portray that, right? To reflect that. So this is how powerful forgiveness can be. Forgiving yourself can be, right? So, I would definitely encourage you guys to look at all the things that you have done in life and really, like, sit down and forgive yourself for all the things that you may potentially beat yourself up for, right? And I'm certainly on this journey. I'm with you guys as well. I'm constantly learning, right? Every now and then, I might feel bad for doing something in my childhood or being in a certain way or speaking rudely to someone as a teenager. I remember, like, when I was 11 or 12, I really used to be very rude with people. And I had to like go back and kind of like forgive myself as well for during those times, because I didn't know better, and I was like, what, it was a phase, things change, things happen, it's fine, it's all right, because we are always so focused on oh, someone did this to me, someone did that to me, and we never really like ask ourselves like, okay, but are you like forgiving yourself for what you did to yourself, or are you speaking very nicely to yourself? Because we often focus on other people's words and actions and everything, but we don't focus or put an emphasis on how we are speaking to ourselves, how we are treating ourselves all the time, which I feel like is super, super important. Because the longest lasting relationship is the relationship that we have with ourselves. And is that a good relationship? Is that a favorable one? Is a question that many of us fail to ask ourselves, right? Because no one can make you feel things rather than yourself, right? Everyone in your life, friends, family, SP, your kids or your parents, and anyone for that matter, right? They are just a nice complement to your already beautiful life, and you create that beautiful life by creating a utopia within. And one of the first steps in creating that utopia is to forgive yourself for all the things that you have done, because you didn't know better back then. You forgive yourself, right, for all the things that you have done. You forgive yourself for creating circumstances that made you have a bad experience, right? And I know a lot of people will ask me, like, immediately, this is one of the first questions, right? Oh, so if there was a victim of rape or a robbery or something like that, so does that mean it's their fault? As much as this sucks to say, in a way, yes, because their state of mind created that. This is why, like, things like watching what you consume content wise, right, what you read on the news, things like that, these are so important that are often overlooked because your subconscious mind is absorbing everything without any form of bias, right? So, forgive yourself for, being in the state which created all those things as well, because now as a conscious creator, you know better, so of course you're going to do better, right? But because of those unpleasant experiences, like, you feel a certain way right now, you feel guilty right now, forgive yourself. And this is not like, one of those things where, like, hey, I forgive you, boom, done. No, it's not like that. It's like you have to sit down with yourself and talk nicely to yourself. You can even visualize your younger self, your childhood self, for example, or your teenage self, and talk to them. Tell them it's all right, like, I forgive you, and heal. Give them a big hug, right? And heal that part of you, right? This could be seen as shadow work as well, but I just see it as, just conversations with yourself, right? And with that different versions of yourself, so that you are able to let go of the old man and embody the new man with ease. Otherwise, there will always be that kind of struggle, right? Because Neville always talks about this, right? You can't pour new wine into an old bottle, or you can't patch old clothes with, like, new pieces of cloth everywhere, because otherwise, there'll always be that part of you that's kind of stuck in a limbo state, right? Because you're neither there, you're neither here, sort of thing. So you need to, completely let go of the old man, and one of the ways to do so is to forgive your old self and your past assumptions and thoughts, and the events that you manifested as a result of those things, right? So guys, we have come to this end of this video. I hope that made sense. If this video resonated with you, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below. Turn on your bell notification so that you guys will know when I upload a new video every single week. Be sure to subscribe, as it's going to go a long way for me. We're going to reach 1K subscribers really soon, and I'm really excited for it. So yeah, thank you guys so much. And if you have any content suggestions, put it in my content suggestions form, and I'll be sure to make a video or a post on that really quickly as well. So yeah guys, so thank you so much. Be sure to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and join our Facebook group as well, as I mentioned earlier. And as always guys, stay safe and happy manifesting. Peace.